بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome dear students. This is Miss Layla Al-Jihani again, inshallah. Today we will continue our unit, all kinds of people. Today we will cover two lessons, 7 and 8. We will cover about you and conversation, okay? Before we start, let's revise and recall what we covered in our previous lesson. In the previous lesson, there were some conversations, some speeches, and we matched these sounds with the pictures. Also, like these. And also we covered the pronunciation, how to pronounce adjectives properly. We practiced these adjectives, and we practiced more adjectives in our previous lesson. Today, inshallah, by the end of the lesson, you will be able to ask and answer questions related to past events. Also, you will be able to answer questions based on a given conversation. You will use new vocabulary in a new conversation. So this is what we are covering in our lesson today. We will start with about you. You have on page 26, you have 5 questions. Read the questions. This is a speaking exercise. So you have to work with a partner. You have to ask each other these questions and listen to your friend respond to these questions. Let's read it together. Have you ever bought anything on the street, and what? Do you remember in our first lesson we had someone who's selling watches on the street? Have you ever bought something from the street? Think about it and tell us, what did you buy? Okay? This is the first question. Have you ever been robbed? What does robbed here mean? Have you ever been robbed? That it means when you were walking, did anyone steal anything from you? From your bag, from your pocket? Have you ever been robbed? This is another word which means being stolen from, okay? Where did that happen? And when did that happen? So you have to tell us what happened with you when you've been robbed. Question 3, have you ever ridden in a pedal cab? Have you ever ridden a pedal cab? Do you remember a pedal cab? It's also related to our first lesson. We have a taxi. Is it any kind of taxi? We call it a pedal cab. Do you remember how does it look like? Excellent. It's a bicycle, but it's a taxi. You can ride behind someone driving a bicycle. We call it a pedal cab. Have you ever been in that type of cabs? When and where? Tell us about your experience. Okay. Question 4, have you ever been to an art gallery? Describe the art you saw there. Art gallery, what do we mean about art gallery? Excellent. We have some pictures, some paintings, and they put it on the wall and they ask people to come. We call it an art gallery. You can walk around, discuss the painting, and if you want to buy some, then the painter or the artist will sell it to you. We call that art gallery, okay? Then tell us the type of this, art. Is it about nature? Is it about, is the art drawing people, or is he only taking pictures? Is he using colors? Try to describe the art you saw in the art gallery. Okay. 5, describe yourself. Now you have to talk about yourself. What kind of person are you? Tell us what kind of person you are. Use adjectives in the box in language and context. Do you remember the adjectives we used in language and context? You can use these adjectives to help you answer this question, okay? Now let's do it one by one. We already understand every question. Now let's answer it together. For the first question, have you ever bought anything on the street? You can say yes or no. Yes, I did. I bought some accessories. Or I bought some food from the street. Tell us, what did you buy? Okay. Question 2, have you ever been robbed? Yes, I have. When I was shopping in a mall, I was robbed. So I was shopping in a mall, someone stole my wallet, for example, or my bag. Okay? This is for question 2. Question 3, have you ever ridden a pedal cab? You can say yes or you can say no. Yes, I have. This was in Paris last summer. So I told you the place and the time, okay? Question 4, have you ever been to an art gallery? You can say yes or you can say no. But I prefer if you can say yes and try to practice more language. You can lie. You don't have to be very truthful. You can make up stories, okay? To practice your language, okay? So yes, I have. Most of the art was related to nature. So I described the art. It was related to nature, so tell us about your experience. Okay, imagine if you haven't. The last question, describe yourself. He told you to use the box from language and context to help you describe yourself, okay? People around would say that I'm kind, optimistic, and talkative. Okay, I try to describe myself using 3 adjectives. Okay, you can use any kind of adjective that you think it can fit your personality. These are the questions related to about you. Now we will move on to conversation. In conversation, if you look at your books, page 27, you have different pictures of different people. Who are the people? Do you know these people? Some of you said yes, some of you said no. But what do you think they are? If we're looking at these people and the people on your book, are they like public, regular people walking on the street? They took a picture of them? No, they are famous. Excellent. They are famous people. When you see a famous person, we call them another name, which is celebrities. We call them celebrities, okay? It means they are famous for different things. Some of them, they are famous for acting. Some of them, they are famous for sport. Some singers. So we call all these famous people, we call them celebrities, okay? Where do you think the people are when you're looking? Are they on a beach? In a hospital? Where are they? Where do you think they are? Yes, some of you said maybe in a movie theater, maybe. We don't know. We will know when we read the conversation. Excellent. Do you remember in About You, we covered question 4. We talked about art gallery. Maybe they are going to an art gallery. صح? There is an opening for an art gallery. They come there to buy some art. Maybe. We don't know. We will know when we read the conversation together. Okay? Now, before we start reading the conversation, we have these questions. I want you to keep it in mind when you are reading and listening to the conversation, okay? So here, you just have to read the statement, and if you think it's true, write true. If you think it's a wrong statement, write false, okay? So based on the statements and based on the conversation you will hear and you will read, you have to answer. Number 1, Colin Parker, so we will hear this name, is the man who has his own airline company. That means he owned an airline company. Is this mentioned in the conversation? We will listen to it and we will read it to know whether this statement is true or false. Number 2, Tony was the director of a British TV station. 3, Ken worked with Tony while he was in London. 4. Tony is talking to a reporter. 5. BW is the man who is wearing a turtleneck sweater. So they are describing what is he wearing. So we read the statements. Now we have to know whether these statements are true or false based on the conversation. We will read it together, okay? Yalla, let's read it. Bismillah.
I realize it's part of your job, but it's a real treat for me to be invited to these charity events. Do you know many of the celebrities here?
Of course, quite a few. The tall man who was standing at the door when we came in is Colin Parker.
Isn't he the one who started his own airline?
That's right. And that's Tony Kramer, the editor of Success. I worked with him on the magazine while I was in London.
Is that a reporter with him?
No, that's Patrick Logan, the football player.
Really? I mean, he looks different in a suit. I didn't recognize him. And who's that guy over there? The one with the turtleneck sweater.
That's BW actually.
Okay. We heard the conversation together. Now look at the questions. Try to skim the reading, scan the text to answer whether the statement is true or false. Here they mention number 1, Colin Parker is the man who has his own airline company. Have you seen this statement in the beginning? Can you see it? Yes, we can. So we write true, okay? This first statement is true. Number 2, Tony was the director of a British TV station. Is this statement true or false? Excellent, false. So we write false, okay? Number 3, Ken worked with Tony while he was in London. What do you think, true or false? Excellent, it's true. 4, Tony is talking to a reporter. Is this what is happening? Is he a reporter? Tony, he's talking to a reporter? No, he isn't. So we write false. For the last statement, BW is the man who is wearing a turtleneck sweater. Have they mentioned that in the last 2 parts? Yes, they did. So we write true. Okay, so we answered these questions related to a conversation with true and false. Now let's look back at the end of the conversation. Ken at the end, he said that's BW actually. So what do you think Ken answers? How does he answer to Tony? Okay, will he say number 1, we went to college together? Number 2, he was my boss. Do you think he will say that? We don't know. 3, I interviewed him once. Or what do you think? He's an awful player. He's a great player. What do you think he will say about BW at the end? Okay, share your ideas. Discuss what do you think the ending will be. Now, looking back at the conversation again, we highlighted some words in blue. Real treat. I realized it's part of your job, but it's a real treat. When someone says it's a real treat, do you think it has a positive aspect or a negative one? Positive, excellent. They mean a positive. They mean it's a great thing. This is very interesting, okay? They say sometimes instead of nice, very interesting, they say it's a real treat. That means it's very nice, okay? Also here, of course, we have the word of course. When do we use? When you tell me, Miss, do you think our exam will be easy? I will say yes, of course. It will be easy if you study hard. So when I say yes, of course, I mean I'm confirming, I'm saying yes, but in a strong tone. صح? Okay? Now for the last one, I mean, this is a phrase, we use it here. Really, I mean he looks different in a suit. I mean we use it when we are starting to give an explanation. We want to explain our opinion. We start with I mean, and then you explain yourself, okay? This is the real talk part, real treat, something very pleasant and enjoyable. We say it's a real treat. Of course, to answer yes in a strong way, I mean a phrase to introduce an explanation of what one has said. Okay, this is the part related to real talk. Now moving on to your turn. Now you have to do something similar conversation, okay? So you have to practice a conversation. Imagine that you are in a charity event. What do they mean about a charity event? What do you remember? What does charity mean? I think we covered these in our previous units. Do you remember when they donated blood and we have people giving money? We call that charity, صح? Charity, when you are giving other people. When we have a charity event, it's an event. People make it so they can collect money to help poor people, okay? So imagine that you are a guest in the charity event. You are there in charity event helping other people to collect money, and you are there to donate, okay? You are looking at pictures while a friend is asking you all about the different people. Imagine that you are there and one of your friends come to you and ask you about the people around you. Imagine that this happened to you, similar to the conversation we covered in our lesson, okay? This is what you are going to do. It's a speaking exercise, so you have to speak with your friends. I have a sample here. Muhammad is saying, it's a real treat for me to be invited to these national events. Do you know many of the celebrities here? Abdurrahman, of course, quite a few. The tall man who was standing at the door when we came in is Faisal. Muhammad, isn't he the one who started his own food chain? Abdurrahman, that's right. And that's Nasser, the writer. Muhammad, is that a reporter with him? Abdurrahman, no. That's Ahmed, the football player. Muhammad, really? I mean, he looks different in a suit. I didn't recognize him. And who's that guy over there? I don't know, actually. Okay? So it's a conversation similar to the one we read. It's about a charity event when you see other people and try to imagine who are these people and make up stories about these people, imaginary people around you, okay? Now, what did we cover in our lesson today? In our lesson today, we covered, we asked questions related to past events, things we did in the past, or things we didn't do. Also, we answered questions related to a given conversation, and we practiced this conversation between us, okay? For today's part, fun fact, we have the Earl of Sandwich, okay? John Montagu, this is his name. He's the Earl of Sandwich. It's like a mayor of a place, okay? Who lived in the 1700s, invented the sandwich. He is the one who created the sandwich, okay? So he wouldn't have to leave his game table to eat. He just wants to play all the time, so he doesn't want to sit in a table and eat, so he put everything inside the bread, and then he invented the sandwich. Hopefully this is a new information, something fun to learn. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and inshallah I will see you next class.